You're watching Public Report, a public affairs presentation of KTBW. The opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views of the Trinity Broadcasting Network.
Hello, welcome to Public Report. My name is Kathy Shorter, and my guest today is Donald Leingang, and he is the Executive Director of USO, a former military man, retired, let me get this right, retired U.S. Navy
Very
commander.
Nice. Thank you.
Retired. How is that when you're the Executive Director at USO now?
Well, you know, after I first started out in the military, I thought I'd probably do about 4 years, and I was a Navy helicopter pilot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and but it was so fun that I said, well, I'll go another 4. And then pretty soon another 4 became another 4, and pretty soon I was at 24. And I had lived in various places, but I grew up in Tacoma, and so my last tour was up in Everett as the executive officer of the base. And I thought, well, they wanted to send me to Washington, D.C., and I thought, I think I'm just going to stay in the right Washington this time.
Yeah.
And so I retired.
Yeah, the Northwest, huh? It's nice around here.
I do. I love it.
But you're an executive director now, so you're not really retired. I mean, because USO, what's that stand for?
Well, it stands for United Services Organization, and you're right, it is not a retirement job, but it is one of the most blessed jobs I think anybody could ever have. You know, when I considered retiring from the Navy, I thought, well, maybe I'll try to look for a job where I could help sailors for a while for the rest of my career. But the USO kind of allows me to help the soldiers, the sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardians. I get to do it all. And it's really a rewarding job to help them as well as their families.
So the USO, what's the U stand for, the S and the O?
Okay, the United Services Organization. It was actually started in 1941 by President Roosevelt. They were looking for, there were so many organizations during World War II that wanted to help our military, and so he came up with let's come up with one organization, the United, to help all the services, and so the USO was born in 1941.
Okay. Now, most people, when they think of USO, they think of Bob Hope and other entertainers going out there and entertaining our military men and women, and there's sort of the limitation of my thinking of USO. So, but it's more to it than that, right?
I think, well, it's more to it, especially when you get to the local chapters, which we are at USO Puget Sound area. We still actually love to be known by Bob Hope because he was a great person or spokesman for the USO. But now we're even more. We still do the entertainment portion, but a lot of that happens overseas in Afghanistan, Iraq, you know, and Toby Keith and some of these great performers still go and do that type of thing. But for our chapter, we have a tendency just to focus on the military here in the Puget Sound area and the family members. And, you know, we're really blessed because we have all 5 services here, all 5 branches of the military.
Yeah, we do.
And we actually have one of the largest in the United States, the largest area of military in the region. And so we are quite busy.
Now, you were getting ready to say, how did it start? Where did it really begin, the USO, this organization?
Okay. Well, in 1941, obviously, we started, but our local chapter is going to have its 45th anniversary next summer. Oh, okay. And so what happened in...
the local chapter?
Yes. So
45th?
Our 45th anniversary.
Really?
In the Vietnam era, the military in the Puget Sound area understood that there was a need to have an organization to help the many men and women that were serving. And so we started our chapter in 1966, and that chapter has been out at the airport, at SeaTac Airport. And then in 1984, we opened up our second center, which is at the Joint Base Lewis McChord, or as many people know it, McChord Air Force Base.
Now, you said that it was during, what, the Vietnam War?
Yes,
Is that what
ma'am.
you said when the chapter started?
Right, correct.
Here? Because my father served in the Vietnam War twice, and you know, I just, in our household, I never heard about the USO. I never knew anything about, you know, this organization.
Was he Army? Can I ask?
He was Army.
Was he Army? And where was he stationed? Do you remember? At Fort
Yeah,
Lewis?
yeah.
Well, and I think that's because of trailblazers like your father. That's probably why our organization started.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because you asked, well, what do we do as the USO? You know, before I started, we used to help about 160,000 military or their family members, say 2005, 2006, 2007. Well, I came on in 2008 after my retirement from the Navy, and we have actually been so lucky that we've helped 386,000 in 2008 and 439,000 military and family members in 2009, and the numbers are going to be just about the same in 2010.
Why? What's going on? Why is there such a need for your help now?
Well, I think that we supply just the basics. I mean, we are at the airport, and we have a place for the families to come in and lounge. You know, there's so many days a week that military family members come through, and they need a place to rest and relax. I mean, they're not all maybe Alaska Airlines, you know, members, so they don't have a lounge at the airport except for us. You know, there's places where, you know, the children, we have a children's room where the children can just come and watch children-appropriate TV. You know, we have a lounge. 3 times a week at SeaTac, we have flights that either are going to or coming from Korea or Japan. And so we have military that get off a plane after 18 hours of being on an airplane, and we have a shower facility, or we have beds there that they can come and relax. And so
at the airport?
At the airport, yeah.
Beds.
Many people don't
Beds
know that.
At the airport?
We have 12 beds at the airport.
Is that right?
That they can just come and relax. And you'd be surprised. If you've ever been to the airport and you see the military and how they travel, I mean, they have everything from 5 duffel bags, the cart with the dog and the cat, and you know they come at you with 2 and 3 carts full of luggage and things, and in the USO, it's like an oasis for them. And so they come in and we feed them, we allow them to rest, we help them with any of their travel arrangements, and really there's about 200 people that just volunteer at SeaTac that care enough and want to make a difference for these.
200 people?
Yeah, we have 200 volunteers just at SeaTac, and then we have another about 100 that are down at Joint Base Lewis McChord.
So at the airport, there, I can't go in, right? I can't.
Actually,
you have to be military.
I will give you a free card
Really?
to allow you to see
There's
us.
times I've been at the airport, I needed a place to go in, a haven, as it were. But so there's a place at the airport set up, a room, rooms, or I mean, give a description.
It's about 2,000 square feet.
Really?
You'll walk in, and there's the entryway. There'll be a volunteer there to greet you, which is always the most important thing, because you know a lot of times we get military that's never been to the Seattle area before, and so my volunteer is that first person to reach out, to shake the hand, to give the hug, and to make sure that the families or the military person knows that they are, 1, welcome, and 2, what can we do to help your stay while you're at the airport. And so it's nice. Then we have a lounge area for them to eat. We have a lounge area for them to just sit down and relax. We have the computer there for them to you know, get on the internet. I mean, every one of them nowadays carries their own laptop or their, you know, whatever capability they have, because they have to stay connected with family no matter where they are. And so we allow them to do those type of things. Our facility is about 2,000 square feet at the airport, and there are some days where we actually pack about 200 people in there on nights when they have flights out to go to Korea or Japan. So
now the families are welcome there. I mean, the children, the family, everyone.
Absolutely.
And it's manned by volunteers.
By volunteers. I mean, we. It's funny because we helped, as I mentioned, about 439,000 military family members last year. But we do that all based on donations from the community. or donations from just people saying, I would love to give $10 to the USO because I believe in what you do.
Why is there such a need to help our military families? Because I'm hearing this a lot, not only with your organization, which sounds, you know, it's just unbelievable that we have this organization that's helping our militaries, and I'm like, we have to make people more aware of this.
And that's why we come
USO,
on the show.
yeah, you're not kidding, because, well, how do you make, I know I'm sort of skipping around, but how do you make military families aware of your services besides coming here on Public Report?
Well, well, we're down on the base at Joint Base Lewis McChord, and so there's that opportunity just for the families. But, you know, last year we sent 40,000 military from McChord Air Force Base overseas, and so that's 40,000.
You sent them?
Yeah.
What do you mean by when you say that?
The military has contracts in airline, and they allow 300 at a time. They send them overseas to Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever they're needed. And this is the really beautiful thing about the USO, is for 4 hours prior to their flight, they come onto the base, and there's two places they can go. One is called the Troop Holding Area, which is a cinder-blocked building, not very comfortable. Or they can come over to the USO Lounge at McChord. And there they can get their last meal, whether it's a ham and cheese sandwich, a hot dog, or just the capability to watch TV or to hop on the internet one last time to talk to their families. Or we also have a program called the United Through Reading program. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I heard a little bit about it.
Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
The United Through Reading, it is the one program in the USO that is very popular. This allows the individual that's deploying to read a bedtime story to his, I don't want to get teary, but they read a bedtime story to their children or their family, and then the USO then mails the DVD and the book to the family. And so while the military spouse is on their way, we are then sending via the mail the story, the last bedtime story that the mom or dad is reading to their children. And so we try to keep that connection, which is why I just love what I do. And that's the United Through Reading program. I'm sorry.
That's
kind of
okay.
sappy, but you know what? It's just a great thing.
But you're really touched by this because, you know, well, why is it so close to your heart? I mean, you're talking about separation, deployment.
You are. And sometimes, you know, they're gone for 6 months to a year. And I mean, I've done that. You probably experienced that maybe as a small girl when your father left, and it's hard when you're 5 to understand if your mom or your dad is going to come home. And so we understand that. And as a matter of fact, you know, the USO, you talk about that. A lot of my volunteers happen to have grown up in the Vietnam era, where maybe their brothers or their sisters came home and were not welcome. And so I have 300 of the best volunteers, and I have 4 members of my staff that want to make sure that nowadays our military are appreciated and welcomed, not only away, but welcomed home when they get that, when they come back.
So you're almost like standing in the gap of the morale and the encouragement and everything.
I think that's a big thing of what we do.
Well, we're going to come back. We're going to go to PSA right now, public service announcement. We'll be right back.